today as we talk about youth development.
Thank you so much. Shalom. This is Redeemed Gospel Church Oyugis, an edition of Believers Insight. Our topic today is youths and the holiday, this extended holiday that we have. In our discussion, we were almost calling it the COVID holiday. But that is the topic that we have today. A discussion of the issues, the challenges that are emerging, and specifically they touch on the life of the youths. So that is the main topic that we have today. Before we go deep into it, I want to give a moment for introduction so that we know the panelists that we have today.
Good.
Yes, so
Vitalis Oduor,
Olivia Ogada,
Sunday Celestino Ombaka,
Emma Aloch.
my name is Shama Wema.
Matilda Muga.
and I am Steve Oguta, youth pastor. Feel welcome from wherever you're watching us from. COVID holiday. In Swahili, there's a term called majazi. So that is how we tagged our discussion today, the COVID holiday and the issues surrounding it, the issues that affect the youth in church. And from our panelists, we're going to have various questions and respondents just from us. What are the issues that we are currently dealing with that affect the youths? Could be regionally or on a wide scope, right? So anyone can take this chance and speak to us.
Okay, I'll begin by saying at this season, I think most of the young people have a lot of time for themselves. And what has been emerging so far, we can see even in different counties or even in our own town in the Lubis, there's been actually a trend of increase in teenage pregnancies and also in terms of drug abuse. So I'll talk about more in teenage pregnancies because now people have a lot of time, and if they don't know how to utilize the time that they're given, because you can find now the schools are closed because of COVID, and if there are no other activities that they can get involved in, be it in church, because most of the social gatherings have been banned for a while. So you'll find they have a lot of time in terms of socializing, and having this time, I think they will engage in so many things.
All right.
So that has been a trend that has been coming up so far, and I think it's something that we really have to consider as young people.
It's a real issue.
It's a really big issue. So I think that is one thing that we've realized.
Thank you. So Olivia has mentioned teenage pregnancies and the issue of drugs, right? So any other thing that we feel is a challenge to the young person today? You know, the other day it was announced by the government that we have 6 more months to be at home. Schools are opening in January. You have this high schooler, this youth in college. Yes. What are the issues? Maybe one or two more, then we go to another phase of our discussion. Yes, Matilda.
We can talk about, I don't know how to say it, online, the online stuff. Like right now, young people are getting more concentrated and addicted to phones. Yeah. So a lot of WhatsApp, Facebook, and the people they meet, I think it's affecting.
It's an issue of concern. Yes. And of course, how about this issue of police officers in Nyamira, for example, they nab 30 youths who are in some wild party. Isn't that an issue, or it's normal? That's the in thing today. Christopher, what do you think?
Corona parties is it's an emerging trend, and it's an issue of concern. I think one of the big issues is it has exposed the failure of our system to have alternatives of using and utilizing leisure time. What can a child do between morning and evening with 6 months to go? What options do we have? Do we have parks? What do we have? I think we need to explore what are the alternatives that we have for the children and the young people.
Thank you so much.
Just to add, just as Olivia said, the problem is the COVID holiday came abruptly, so that there were no planned program. Unlike every other holiday that happens, youths are from school and they're given things that they're supposed to do. They come home, there's a chat, they have activities. But this is a case where the holiday is abrupt, there's no activities, there's no program. So they have a lot of time at their disposal that they can engage in anything they want. So that is what brings so many challenges, including the teenage pregnancies, the statistics that is so alarming.
Thank you.
As parents, we I think we also have a very big challenge because the children are at home and we are rarely there at home with them, and so most of the time we leave in the morning, we come in the evening, so we are not very certain on what was happening the time we are away. So I think it will be important also for parents to think of a way in which you can, apart from assigning them some responsibilities, but a way of when you come back, are you able to know really what was going on? Because I think it's very possible for you to stay with these children for 6 months without even knowing what really has been going on.
Yeah, thank you so much. We are almost now jumping into the second stage. So far we have talked about the issues that are emerging: teenage pregnancy, drugs. Christopher has talked about the COVID parties. Let's now narrow down on the young person and look at how the young person is maybe contributing towards things going on the wrong direction. And at the same time, we can also seek to advise this young person. What can this young person do? So it's more of a discussion of what is a young person doing wrong that he should correct, and what can this young person do which is a positive direction. Then we will move to the parent as we shall be guided by Shalom. Good.
So, because teenage pregnancies are not, it is not something to rejoice over, is there how we can advise them? Are there things we can tell them to do or not to do so that the curve irudi chini kiasi for the betterment of our society today?
Thank you for that. I was thinking, when a snake comes into a house, one of the first things you do, as you kill it, you also look at how did it enter the house. So we can explore how do young people find themselves in such a position. And you know, the Bible says in Proverbs that sexual sin is as a result of a trap. I don't think a young girl leaves her house to go and contract a disease, an STI, or get pregnant. Or a boy just walks out to ruin another girl's life. So it can begin as a trap, and very good intentions. A boy in a very good school could decide to coach a girl in another CDF school. So as the coaching goes on, the rain starts and it's dark, and so I think we have to look at the factors that spring up these traps. What are the traps that are there? Some of them which don't look like traps, they start very innocently, and then they end up trapping these young people. Thank you.
Yes, Shama.
Yes, I think another thing that they need to do or to know as students who are not in school right now is they need to work on their attitude toward the situation. It's not a holiday. They're not on vacation or something. If it were not for COVID-19, they would be in school learning some skills, and they can still learn some skills regardless of schools being closed, because they will be asked at some point, what did you do with that holiday, with that time that you had? So I think they should not look at it as free time that they have, but as time that they need to make up for this time that they need to account for, time that they need to show what they did during this time. So they need to change their attitude, and they will look for a new language to learn, a new skill, a talent to build on, a craft maybe to polish or something, because they will still have to account for what they did during this time, because it's not a holiday. So they need to change that attitude with which they view the situation that they're in.
Okay, I will add on what Shama is saying, because at this time that they've been given, I know there's studies still going on, there's online studying, but also it is also important to learn a skill. If you don't know how to cook, you can actually cook with your mother, or look for somebody who loves cooking, or to bake a cake. And that one can actually be a business that you can do, as now you have the time to do that. You can learn an instrument. If you're able to get an instrument, learn an instrument. And then, because time is very valuable. So if you spend most of your time with the bad friends and that are influencing you negatively, you'll get the results of negative influence. But if you spend time with positive friends, you will use that time also to develop yourselves and learn more skills. There are so many things you can learn in YouTube, because we are in a digital age. You can learn so many skills in YouTube, even just editing, doing photography, because we have digital photos. So I think it is more of, you ask yourself, what am I doing with my time at this season? Because it is a season that all of us we never expected. And at the end of December, if somebody will ask you, because that is the question we'll ask ourselves, by the end of December, what have you learned? Something new, or you've just been wasting your time involving in drugs, or spending time with friends, and then there are also online groups where people share a lot of things. Yeah, they can have, if you're in a church group, you can have Bible studies, online Bible studies, because if you're not able to do it, so there are several things that you can do as a young person, and at the end of the day, you will have grown yourselves and become a meaningful citizen in the society.
How do you help this young person, as Umbaka said, that they find themselves in a trap? This young person who genuinely went to revise, the rain comes, she finds herself in a trap.
Allow me answer that.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll take us back to the Bible. In Thessalonians chapter 4, I'm not so sure of the verse. It is the will of God that we stay sexually pure until marriage. And so, your question, how should they conduct themselves if they find themselves in such a situation? Because it is the will of God, He has also given us an answer in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verses 13. It says, flee from sexual sin. And you see, there is no spiritual interpretation from flying away. It is running away physically. So when you find yourself in such a trap, just run away. The Bible has given you the solution. Run away.
And maybe what they could also do is to avoid the trap. Sometimes it is, all the times, actually, it is easier to avoid the trap than escaping when your neck is already in the trap. So if you're going for a subject discussion or something, make sure that you are not just the two of you only, you know. And if you're the two of you only, then it should be in the family setup where, you know, the mother is there, the father, the brother, you know, some people are there.
Open space.
Open space. Because so long as you find yourself in a confined environment with two of you only, and as my friend said, the rain has come and darkness is coming, even running away can be very tricky. So the best thing is avoid where you find yourself, the two of you only, in a compromising environment.
To add on to what he has just said, can also know what your triggers are, know what triggers you into sexual immorality, and avoid them. Yeah. Things that trigger you are things like, okay, if you're the type who when you're hugged you can easily get triggered, you should avoid getting hugged, whether in public or in private, but especially in private. Yeah.
Yeah, just to emphasize on what Pastor said, if it is a student who genuinely, maybe a candidate who was genuinely going to revise, it would be advisable that you go. If you are a girl, at least make sure you are 3 or 2 girls plus the boy there, so that you are a little bit safe. Even if the rain comes, you are safe when you are 4 or 3 of you. So being 2, it's not appropriate.
Yes, Shama?
Yes, now on the flip side of this coin, there are people who are not being trapped. There are people who are
Trappers.
who are idle. They have no exam until January or February next year. They don't know their talents. They don't know what to do. So, and out of curiosity, they are tempted to get trapped or trap someone.
Yes.
So that's, I think that's also something else we need to address, because there are people who, I'm sure, just out of curiosity, have been tempted to go into some of these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The trappers. A big word, eh? Yes, Christopher.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very, very much for the debate. Let's use another analogy. Every machines are very good, and when they run, they're very beautiful. A vehicle runs so nicely, and you see it. So let's imagine sexual power is like a drive. It has a start button, and like everyone knows, anything that has an engine must have a brake. Otherwise, that thing will crash very badly. So, as young people, I think it's important to go back, use not just the analogy of the trap, but of a drive. What is the ignition point? Because there are people who have the drive, they just want to start it, and it revs the engine. So what is it that starts this engine? And then I would love Pastor to tell us, how do you put brakes into this engine? Because, and I would love him to jump in, because there is this argument that wazee nyinyi mnaenjoy kila usiku. Na nyinyi mlienjoy yenyu huko kitambo. This thing is so nice, and it even helps us to release stress. There's a lot of stress. Sex helps to release stress. A girl feels nice when she's being hugged. A guy is putting his hands everywhere. SMSs are coming in the evening. Men are happy. There's need to be needed. There's emotional satisfaction. So I would really like to hear what Rev will say. Young people are saying, just a minute, young people are saying this thing is very good. You are preventing us. Why can't we start it? The vehicle ianze saizi.
That's a hard one. I think the big issue, it is very risky to look for an umbrella when you're already being rained on. The best thing is to know if the rains are about to come, then you have the umbrella. So the point there that is very critical is we need to have our values before even we get into these trap issues. And you see, values are related with visions. Like if I'm trusting God that I want to become a teacher, a teacher either in high school or primary or university, I know that there are things that if I do now, there will be a hindrance for me reaching my vision. So the values are very critical, and that's where now, even this person that wants to experiment, if we can trust God, thank God that the churches are open now. We teach values. When you have values, then it will not matter what kind of situation I'm in. For example, when I'm praying and fasting, for example, I may be exposed to a very good meal, but I say that no, I'm not going to eat this because I'm praying and fasting. I will eat when I break the fast. So it's like we have to have something that make us have breaks. But if you want to prepare to have the breaks when you're already in the situation, it may be too late. I don't know whether I've added something.
Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Perhaps you can ask about the role of the parent.
The role of the parent. Ketanaka time is okay. Ida wachomane.
You know, we are already telling them what not to do, which is fine. But if I were listening to this for the first time, I would not understand exactly why you're telling me not to do it. Okay, the Bible wants us not to do it, and it is okay. It is actually right to please God. But are there consequences of sex, not just sexual immorality,
Okay.
consequences of sex that we are supposed to know aside pregnancies and diseases? Are there both spiritual consequences, physical consequences?
Yeah, the number one, number one, sex will bring a lot of soul tie or bondage. And you know, you are like, sex connects people very intimately. And it is very dangerous to be connected to somebody that you're not going to be married to, because you are connected to this and then you get another one, you are connected. So at the end of the day, you are growing in a way that when the time for you reaches, when you want to settle in life, you are actually confused, because you have not you can't disconnect from all these people to connect one person.
You see, most of the times when we talk about soul ties, it's usually we think of it from the negative point of view. Soul ties, there are positive things that soul ties brings about inheritance. You can take something from somebody that was not initially in you. Some can be positive, some can be negative. But for the sake of us, we who are not married, let us focus on the negative kidogo. I was listening to some very powerful couples on YouTube, Soila and Katis. You guys can check on them. They have very good content. They were saying that, you see, we human beings, we are made of three parts: the body, the soul, and the spirit. The body interacts with the physical things, the spirit interacts with the things of the spirit, and the soul interacts with self. And the soul is also divided into three: the mind, emotions, and the will. So that when there is a soul time, my mind, the emotional me, and my will is somehow connected to whoever I fornicated with or made love to, for the married people. So avoid these things because they can really affect you. When your will is connected to somebody's will, let's say this person's will is not usually what you like. Sorry. When your will is connected to somebody mwenye will yake na wewe somehow, and then your emotions, imagine being emotionally invested in somebody, and also your mind. Avoid anything that can bring soul ties with somebody whom you have not married or gotten married to.
Thank you. We are moving. It's like we focused on a subtopic of the discussion, which is great. And of course, sex before marriage is sin, and any act of sin makes you lose favor with God. Yeah, you see, when Joseph is found in a corner and this woman is putting pressure so that they sleep with her, and he says, how can I do such a thing and sin against my God? So it's like Joseph knows that he needs the favor of God for a long part of his life, that he can't he can't lose it. Just like when Esau got this meal and he sold his birthright, and then we have an extended part of his life a mess. So there's so much of advantage living right with God. Amina. We're moving on. I would wish that we move to another subsection of our discussion, the place of the parent in this COVID holiday. Do you think there is something that the parents could have done or can do so as to help the youths to live right or to be guided right, or the parent has no role at all? Is there a place we can blame some parents, or some advice that we can give parents so that we have our youths living right in good example until maybe the COVID holiday is done? And back to us panelists. Yes, Matilda.
I think it's a challenge because somebody like me, my mom goes to work in the morning and comes back in the evening. So she brings food on the table so that to give me a good life. So she will not stay at home to look after me at the same time want to give me a good life. I think the best thing she can do is to talk to me and give me advices, build me, but the rest is up to me. Because it's right now, COVID-19, yeah, it's difficult for everybody, the economy. So you'll have to go and work and bring something back at home. So I think a lot is on our hands.
Thank you.
I
Thank you
will,
so much. Yes, Olivia.
I will add on the role of parents. I know, okay, in this generation, I would say, most of the parents are busy. You can find both the mother and the dad is working. And so sometimes it reaches a point that a child is felt like, I'm just alone in this house. So when I was growing up, I would say I learned a lot from my mom, because my mom used to be a businesswoman. And I remember during the weekends, or we had school off, she used to actually take me to her business. So in the process, that is the only time we used to spend time with her. And I would see what she was doing. And sometimes we used to go to the market together. That was time I was actually spending with her. And I would see, you have to carry this, I'm going to buy vegetables. And that has helped us in terms of bonding with the parents. I know in this generation it is very difficult. I know parents are working so hard so that they can give us a good life. And I think it is also important as parents to spend time with your children and let them learn from you. They can learn several things, because let me tell you, a child, you might tell a child something, but they actually do what you do. Even if you look at a baby, if you are polite,